So good afternoon, guys. Today is February 21st. We're doing something a little different. A couple of you who have followed the channel have seen this spot before. Next to a gravel quarry. We're actually south of the loft. We're trying something a little different here. We're going to call this the Dogleg, is what we call it. So kind of the situation is, me and Russell Codd and a couple of other guys, we're at the back of the race course. We are the furthest from the release points, and most of our birds are going to have to fly over everybody else, which of course is going to lose some time. Everybody else they're bound to get birds before us. So we've got to try to cut some time off of the race course. So what our hope is, the lofts are that way. Both of us, we're actually only about a mile and a half, probably an air mile or an air mile and a half apart in a straight line. So what we're hoping to do is instead of coming through the gap where we've been training, we've kind of done an about face, and we're going to try to come in through this river valley. This is the Applegate River Valley, and if we can do that successfully, we should shave some minutes off, and we're hoping those minutes will be enough. So this is 5 miles. This is the first station on this side of the course. The birds have been this direction. 5622, who is the old bird, she's actually been tossed here 5 or 6 times in the past. So our hope is that I can get them settled here, figure this area out, which when they first started last year, they had some trouble. They were slow because they've got to go over this hill, and then there's another hill here. But the idea is to get them to come through this river valley and hopefully up over the hills on the other side of the valley, about 30 miles out. And if we can do that, we can, in theory, save quite a bit of time on the race course that is precious. So we're going to go down this course instead of through the gap and across the main stretch of the valley. We're going to go up the side valley here, which will entail going over hills, but it's a necessity. We're going to go over hills no matter where we go. It's just a given. Hopefully avoid some problematic areas for tossing. So that is kind of our hope, is that using the Dogleg route here will do it. We've still got 21 birds. Let's go, guys. Get them out. There are some power lines here. And they're gonna run over this quarry and hopefully get some height up. This is their first time, so I expect them to kind of wind around low like this, figure out their way around. Like I said, nobody's been here with the exception of 5622 so far. So they're gonna wind around this quarry, figure their way out. So they are circling. I know the last release I did here, they kind of went west, kind of south, it's southeast, over the river to kind of get their bearings. That's kind of what they're doing here, is kind of hooking hard back over that valley. I don't know if you can see them over there. They just went past that tree. So kind of a tough spot in the course here. We have these hills. Looks like they're probably going to go up the river and across that flat. Looks like they're already gone, or at least they've wound out toward those hills and are going to work their way that way. So that is it, guys. Going to race back to the loft. So I am back at the loft, guys. So far I have beat them back. This happened the last time I trained from that spot. So we got a few minutes later, still no birds. There's a lot of wind going on. You can see the wind up there. I don't know if you can see it, very slow moving, but the wind up high is pushing northeast. Down here on the bottom, you can kind of see with the reflectors and also the trees down here on the bottom, it's actually kind of blowing to the southeast, so they're kind of crossing up. The high altitudes, it's blowing north, and down here below it's blowing south, and the reason is because the winds come up the river canyon and blow across this flat. So we are still waiting on a drop. Hasn't been that long since I got back. It's been a couple minutes, but we will continue to wait, get some chores done. You can see those clouds moving if my hand's not if my hand's stable enough. As you can see, the wind is really shredding these clouds up here high up. So kind of some tough conditions today, but it's kind of what we got to do. So here's the first drop coming in. Here they come. Here's my pied. That's one of the most important ones. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's half. Three black widows out. My smoky blue bars here. This one, it's a favorite, the pied. This blue check pied cock. Oh, there is one black widow bird here, the pied. So that's 10. So that's just under half in one drop. Giveaway grizzle's missing. That's not surprising. So it's a few more minutes on. I just got 2 more back. 2 blue bars. Still missing 5622. The giveaway grizzle. 2 black cocks. And a couple of others, mostly blue bar Devrents. Still out at this point. We still got maybe 45 minutes of daylight. So hopefully they will come in before dark. The rest are obviously just going to come in pieces. They've probably been scattered. Probably got left behind by the initial group. They're going to have to figure it out on their own. So we will see what happens. I've got high hopes that everybody will be back. It's just a matter of when. It's the waiting part is... the waiting part sucks sometimes. Well, guys, it's almost dark. You can see the lights already showing up, and the moon has moved quite a bit. It's been about 3.5 hours since the toss. I'm still missing 9 of the 21. The first 10 came back pretty rapidly. I was ahead of them, but they weren't too far behind me. I got 2 more back, but I'm still missing 9. So that is a little concerning. It is clouding up quite a bit. Definitely a tough toss for them. 5622, who has been at that site before, she is not here yet, which is surprising. I figured she would have been with the first group. So it is a little alarming that I'm missing almost half the team, missing 9 out of 21. I suspect a lot of the rest will be back tomorrow. Hopefully they'll all be back tomorrow and things will go as usual, and it's just kind of a growing pain for them, but not good news tonight though. So just a bit of an update, guys. Today is February 25th, so it has been a few days since the toss. As of today, after 3 days later, I have only 14 out of 21 left, so I am down 7 birds from that toss, which is not a good thing. One of the interesting observations I do have about this losses is that the birds that returned home on the first drop that were only a couple minutes behind me, most of them are off a 2 pair, like 8 of the 10. So So it's interesting. I think it's definitely a situation of the basket doing the culling, with the exception of the fact that 5622, which is a yearling hen, has been on this team. She's left over from last year. She had been to that site 5 times, and she didn't make it back. That would lead me to think that probably birds of prey were involved. I think they split I think a falcon attack or a Cooper's attack split the team in half. This half, for the most part, the first 10 of the 14 beat feet home as fast as they could from that point. That could be why they didn't even beat me back while I was waiting, as I think there was an attack took place. And the other 4 straggled in a little bit after. The one Black Widow cock, he was in the next day. But like I said, there's 7 of them missing. Kind of a blow to the race team, because obviously I've got limited numbers and we're entering the hills now. So there's kind of a concern of what happens from here as far as road training. I think maybe the 10 that beat me are going to do well. The other 4, who knows? So needless to say, kind of bad news, depending on how you want to look at it. I mean, it's bad news when you lose pigeons. But at the same time, you know, the ones you lose, do you really want them? Probably not. Most of the birds that are missing seem to show previous problems with even 5622, who was a yearling. She had trouble on some tosses last year. So it does make you kind of, even with her, obviously she could not hang in there with the rest. All of my favorites are actually still here. The blue bar pied, the smoky blue bar wherever he is, the blue check pied cock. There's one with, there's a blue bar with a little small fleck of white on the nape. And like I said, most of them are out of the same pairs. So what we're left with is pretty much the progeny of 3 pair, minus a couple of others. So it is interesting, but that is it, guys. I've got some late hatches I'm working with. It's not a big deal. I don't like, the situation with the race team is there's 14. There's still 3 or 4 here that I don't expect are going to make it through the hills further out. I think we're going to be down to about 10. I think the 10 I mentioned off the 3 pair. I don't really have high hopes for the others. So it's interesting. And it's only going to be 10 pigeons to race, but if that's what's left. But I'm kind of which isn't a lot. Everybody else is, 60. 60 plus to work with. They're going to have 2 crates of 15 each. All have obviously a partially full crate. Is probably what's going to happen, unless I can get some of these late hatches up and going, which interestingly enough, some of those late hatches, they're off the pink pair and they're off the orange pair and they're off the green pair. So that could be good. I just got to get them going, but it does make it interesting. I'm going to have probably less pigeons than anybody else in the club, but you know what? Let's let the chips fall where they may. If we get into the 400 and I've only got 1 pigeon left, well, I'm game. I'll send the 1. We'll see what happens. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Bit of a long video after this little disaster, but easy come, easy go, I guess. See you all later.